Yo, 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 welcome to another episode of Crate 808, and today we're blessing you with another album review, and it's from the hip-hop legend Nas, Lost Tapes Volume 2. We're going to go in, and to help me out is my resident rap Brexiteer, Ray Ridge, all the way from Australia. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, well, good. You know what, I'm not really feeling this rap Brexiteer title. It's not, I'm not a fan of it, frankly.
But you've done everything in your power to earn it.
Just the whole, the Brexiteer vibe, it's just a bit, don't know.
No, 2018.
Look, people, think about it this way. People are going to be listening to this podcast for forever. Brexit's just of now. People are going to forget that. It's going to happen or not eventually, and then it'll be done.
I don't think people are going to forget Brexit, mate. That's the problem. I think it's here forever, which is kind of like how I feel when I talk to you. Feels like this is going to go on forever. No, I like it, mate. I like the rap Brexiteer, and I'm going to keep calling you whether you like it or not, mate. And I was going to say, Ray, you're here again. It's been a minute. What is the least hip-hop thing you've done in the last 24 hours, mate?
I've been limping, but not out of choice.
What do you mean
I feel like it's a hip-hop thing. If you're limping on purpose, if you're pulling off a gangster limp, that's a very hip-hop thing. It's a choice. It's an attitude. Yeah. But my fucking knee's done.
I thought you hip popped. I thought you were going to say. I thought you could do a play on words and go, "It's a hip-hop thing, but my hip popped." I thought you were going to go that way, but no, it's your knee.
Not as wordplay. It's just more about actual pain. Actual real fucking agony. I had a meniscus operation last year, and the doctor was like, "Yeah, you're all good. Get back to normal life." And turns out it's not.
I'm saying if we went into Lost Tapes album review now, the Lost Tapes 2 album review, my first point of call would be pretty much swap any track out of here so I can hear Nas talking about a meniscus injury, because that's what I want you to be talking about. I don't want you to be talking about things that are very jumbled up. I know we're going to go into this review, but I'm just saying I'm kind of confused about this album.
Yeah, but it's Lost Tapes. It's a whole bunch of rejects that he's thrown together, which actually, it really works. It's almost one of the best albums he's put out in recent years.
Raymond Ridge.
I think we're coming at this from different angles.
Oh my God, Ray Ridge. We need to have a chat here. Usually this is the other way around. Usually I'm the one that's telling you, chill the fuck out. Clearly not. We are going to go into this review.
Whoa. What's the least hip hop thing you've done in the last 24 hours?
See, I thought I was going to get away with this. It's been very hot here, hasn't it? Been a lot of flowering, a lot of everything's really summery, it's really cool. And is it a dandelion? What are them things that you kind of kick and all the little pollen spreads everywhere? I don't know what the fuck them things are called, right?
Yeah, dandelion. Yeah.
Dandelion, right? Dandelion. So what, they put them with burdock when it's dandelion and burdock? That's weird. Anyway, the least important thing was, one of them was floating, and as I was walking, I got nutmegged by a dandelion. And it's like, holy shit, people get nutmegged by Messi, and I'm walking, and I got nutmegged by a dandelion. No one saw it, but in my heart, I know I lost that battle with a dandelion. And if it was DMX, that would never have happened to DMX. DMX would never, even if he got nutmegged by a dandelion, he wouldn't have felt the pain. He'd be like, motherfucking dandelion, I don't give a shit.
Wait, you were trying to get one and it just blew between your legs, you mean? What?
Well, I wasn't trying to get one. It was in front of me, floating. I aimed a kick, not gonna lie, didn't pull it off, but left it. And then it went through my legs. It's almost like it was taking the piss, there you go, mate, that's what you get for, I don't know, just being not hip hop. So yeah, that was my least hip hop thing I've done in 24 hours. You asked, Ray. You asked. I was going to go past it. So what we're going to do for people who've not been in the pod before, clearly this is a 90s podcast, a 90s hip hop podcast. So Nas dropping anything new is going to be like, okay, we're interested. You're maybe not in my top 5, but you're in the top 5 conversation for me. So I say we go track by track and basically give our feelings on where Nas is right now and what this album means to us, right? How do you feel about that, Ray?
Yeah, that seems like a good approach. Let's do that.
Yeah, clean slate, track 1, No Bad Energy.
Yeah, I'm feeling it.
Yeah, Nas brings No Bad Energy as the opening track. What a great decision from Nas. First of all, I'm like, yes, you've picked an amazing beat. It's like an ethereal kind of atmosphere to this, right? So I think it's Swiss Beats or Arab Music, I think, have done this, right? It's a modern taste with an old school flow on top. I'm in. What are you saying?
Yeah, No Bad Energy. It's all in the title, isn't it? That's what it says on the tin. I mean, I like it. It's a good message. It's real. It's about him and where he is now. That the whole concept of No Bad Energy, please. It makes me feel like he's been listening to some of the same podcasts I have, like Sam Harris, and get a bit of headspace in the day, and know, we're not sponsored by these yet, so I won't go into too many,
Nas has got the Headspace
meditation apps. But it's a good start. It's a great intro track. Like, it works well. I mean, we'll get to the outro track, but they work as bookends to the album. Just the last verse in this, it's sick. It's like a little window into like, this is some of the shit that I used to do, and I'm maybe he's going to bring it on this. And you know what he does?
One thing you're always going to expect is Nas to spit fucking fire. As soon as this album came out, I wasn't thinking about, Nas is going to pick poor beats. I assumed Nas is going to pick poor beats, and these are offcuts, so they haven't made his albums. So I'm thinking, it's about the lyrics then. And his first verse, mate, just coming out the gate like a fucking dungeon dragon, right? I'm oblivious to you skeptics. What you hear, you ain't ever hear till I repped it. Iridescent hero's essence, please clear the exits. And it's almost like this wordy kind of Nas poetry hits you in the face like a fucking cold wave of water straight away, right? And that's what I'm talking about. There you go. Raymond Ridge has said it's beautiful, and he hasn't said that about anything in all the Cray 808 series that have been. So that's what I'm talking about. And also another thing that he does, this is like older Nas. He's aging gracefully. He's talking about things that are kind of like a little bit more in line with what I'm thinking. And in this track, he says, the matinee watcher, the good weather on a Saturday afternoon shopper. And I'm like, such a simple thing. I love watching matinees, and I don't like shopping, but if I'm going to go shopping, Saturday afternoon, please, let's go. And I'm thinking, Nas, that's what I'm talking about. The first track, it really does set this whole album off. What are you saying?
Yeah, no, all of that. It's that even more of that. The last few lines of that. I got it down here. It's like what is it? Pretty girl, tongue taster, southern girl, luster, city girl, love maker, the matinee watcher. You know, it's just the description of people doing stuff, and you're like, you can relate immediately. And it's the matinee watcher, the good weather on Saturday after, blah blah blah. And the last line is still Miss Big Papa, and it's just like anyone who loves all of this music can relate to all of that. I don't want to keep going on about it. It's a great tune.
Then we're going to move on to the second track, Vernon Family, right? And this Pharrell beat suits. Just raised voice there. It's fine. The beat's fine. Pharrell's done an okay job. It's decent, right?
Oh my God, no, I disagree.
What, you really hate it?
Literally, like, what the fuck is this beat? This beat, you know when you buy like a mid-range electric keyboard in the 90s and it's got a demo mode, and you press demo and it goes and it makes bullshit synth. Your music teacher was fired and then had to get a job doing something, so made up that kind of music.
It's like Mrs. Rowland in my music class doing a Nas beat. I really want to go in on the lyrics on this one. The lyrics, right? First of all, this handbrake turn in the middle of a verse made me stop and rewind, but for the other reasons. It's not like an Eminem rewind. It's a rewind where you're like, what? So just listen to this. You all witnessed it. I could fill you with real millionaire shit. Escargot, my car fresh from the dealership. Esco alias, my escrow grow daily. It's the freshest Air Max wearer, yes. I get all that. I feel you're fronting, yeah. Ejaculatory depression after sex? And that means after I nut, don't touch me, no questions. What? It's like he's had a midlife crisis halfway through a verse. We are getting an insight into what Nas feels really bad about. He gets really dark really quickly. Like, it's almost like he's bragging, and then saying, once I've had sex, don't you dare touch me, don't ask me any questions. Like, what does Nas go through when he has sex? It's mad.
Again, that's relatable, isn't it? You know? just me and Nurse. Oh, okay, fine. Yeah, fine. Okay,
to be fair, it is relatable, because I've heard plenty of people say, once you've ejaculated, you get really bored and be like, all right, I want to be... But like, in the middle of a track like that, in a handbrake turn-wise way, in a way, it
is a handbrake turn, definitely.
Yeah, it does sound quite like a Kanye-esque thing, though. Kanye would talk about nutting and being depressed. So either way, let's move on from Nas ejaculating, and we'll go on to, I'm sure, which is possibly the most talked about Nas song in about 10 years, possibly for the wrong reason. Jeru of Rap, Scat Attack.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I love you, Nas. I love you.
Okay.
I want to make that clear. And I love it when the artists I'm into try something different. And you can say he's gone out of the box with this shit, right? So basically he's scatting over this track, and it's an attempt to stay versatile, but I just think so much is lost in translation. It's not the worst track ever, but talk about handbrake turns, the beat alone, you're like, what am I listening to? This is so weird. Like, it just doesn't feel cohesive to the album at all.
I don't want to be unnecessarily over the top negative, so like, I'm glad he tries new shit. I'm glad
you don't
he tries
want
some
to be
different shit.
Rain
He
Rich.
tries to push boundaries and think outside of the box, and he's not like another boom bap beat from Pete Rock, you know, which he does find later, and fucking like love it. But
okay,
yeah, he's trying something different, and I'm glad he tries something different. But I'm glad I've got a skip button. So
Yeah, I mean, and Nas's like legacy is it's a confusing one, man. Like, I want to get into this later, but like his legacy is like really confusing to me now. Like in the 90s, I knew where Nas stood. Even with Nostradamus, I was like, I know where you stand. You've made a shit album. It's fine. People make shit albums. 20 years later, I'm like, whoa, what is Nas now? What is Nas? And I don't know. I'm an avid follower. I'm just wondering what other people who outside of the 90s think of Nas, because it must feel like, let me think, it must feel a little bit like when The Who are on tour and everyone's like, yeah, I get The Who's greatest hits are great, but who's Roger Daltrey? Like, why am I listening to, like, I don't understand why new people would love that stuff like Je Rêve Rap, but just not for me, man. Just not for me. So, moving on, Lost Freestyle, next one up. On my first few listens, I thought this was one of the strongest tracks on the whole album. After a few days and then a few more listens, the initial impacts are just worn off. I just skip it. I love the lyrics to begin with, and they don't say anything. The lyrics actually don't say anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's called The Lost Freestyle, so it's not really, it's not pretending to be anything. It's not. And,
Yeah,
but it's like we're getting back to the good stuff. You know, the beat is almost good. It's forgettable. It's not. It's not
It should have stayed lost.
Doesn't move you. It's not about a concept. It's not a sick beat.
Yeah, but I don't understand why. Is it because when I heard it the initial time, it's because I'd heard it after that Scat Attack one. I was like, yes, we're back. Nas is doing something I like again. And then maybe that's what it was, why I liked it so much. But this is the whole point of listening to an album in its entirety.
Yeah, relief that it wasn't more scat or experimentation.
And then we move on to our boy RZA, man. I know you love him. RZA, 10 Asia. I'm not gonna lie, when I first heard it, it felt so gimmicky. I just couldn't get into it. I'm not a massive fan of when Nas does a love song, generally, anyway.
Yeah, no, not on first listen, really. I was kind of like, yeah, it's not overly cheesy. It's coming back to like OG Nas style as well, though. You know, the whole kind of vibe of it and the vibe of the beat and then the attitude of his lyrics. It does make it sound like Nas only knows two places in the world, you know. Well, if you're not from Queensbridge, then you're from Asia, right? There's only Queensbridge or Asia, that's it. Queensbridge is an island, and outside that, there's just the rest of the world is Asia.
Yeah, exactly. Mate, to be fair, right, after a few listens, I actually really started getting into it, and especially the beat. I was like, fuck man, RZA. I'll be honest, he could have used this so much better on a Woo track. Like, a Woo track with this beat would have fucking smashed.
And jokes aside about the location, he does go on about everyone's from Asia, Africa used to be a part of Asia, right. And, you know, there's more into it. It's actually
but you say there's more into it. You say there's more into it, right? A man like Nas fucking reads books. He's educated. He knows about the history of the world, right? In this album, there's more than one or two circumstances. I'm going to come on to my big Hurricane G moment, but this is vouching for Hurricane G moment. This is vying for that spot. Because actually, when you listen to it, the way he comes in and describes this woman he's with, right? Descriptively, he's amazing. Nas is in a school of his own when it comes to painting a picture with words. He's a fucking poet, right? So he comes in, and the lyrics, truck jewels, big stack, mustard boots, construction on her feet, she duck confit. What a fucking wicked way. Construction on her feet. I was like, yes, that's a brilliant way to talk about Timberlands or like that kind of thing. Love that shit. I shoot up the club wherever I hit it raw. If she have a baby with me, I'm a lover more. He also shoots up a club when he hits it raw, which is kind of like, I just fucking did it. No, Johnny. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, love that. Okay, cool. It's descriptive, right? Yeah. Then it's the most reductionist way of talking about a woman. And he, on the same track, talks about the origin of man. He goes, brings food to the crib when I'm laying low, and she know how to roll weed but don't smoke. Chinese massages, wifey no side chick. Go sightseeing with the god, playing cards with my dad, frying chicken for the mob. Right? So what you're saying is, right, the masculine stereotyping of a woman that you love. What are her redeeming factors to Nas? So she wears Timberland boots, wicked. He'll love her more if she has a baby with him. Brings food to the crib, rolls weed but doesn't smoke it, even better. Chinese massages, everybody loves those. Goes sightseeing with him, brilliant. Plays cards with his dad and makes fried chicken for him and his mates. I'm sorry.
What else do you need? Nas wins. Gone.
Right, but it's just confusing, man, right? It's just a confusing mix of messages Nas brings. I do have to say, though, the intimate nature of the track, if you go past the stereotyping, mate, for in Tunisia, the last few lines, yeah, that kind of shit did get me, to be fair. Picture us laughing how ticklish the money has us, like little kids, but the difference is we'd much rather be ghost back in the crib, some avocado toast, laid back, we choose that over the Amalfi Coast. That shit is really intimate. So there's a mixed bag of messages over a RZA beat that RZA could have used somewhere differently. I don't know what that says about this album. I think that's probably a really good way to talk about this album, is it's a mixed bag of messages.
Yeah, so far I think it's one of the stronger tracks.
Okay, what are you saying to Royalty then, the next one?
Why? I mean, the singing bits, it's not memorable or sing-alongable. It's just someone singing a lot of random sentences, and I'm like, what's the motivation? Who's listening? Who's it aimed at? Who's listening to this?
Right. I was writing notes down on this, and literally all I came up with, no thanks, Naz. That's all I wrote. No thanks, Naz. And it's like, I don't know what else to say. And I kind of pushed myself to say something about it. Dug a little bit. It's written by Frank Ocean. The hook is fucking so syrupy, and especially the song fucking opens with... the song opens with the hook. Mate, if you can open with a fucking bad hook, like, no thanks, mate. Whatever messaging he has in this whole thing is just buried by this mediocre beat. But if you look at the messaging, right, it's the first verse is about a guy who gets sliced up by his missus because he was wanking on a phone call with his side chick.
Do you reckon he's made that up, or it's just something that he really knows about?
I don't know.
He heard about it from the side chick. You won't believe what happened.
He's
Mate, boy, he was wanking on a phone, and then I heard his missus come in and cut him up. Oh well, I just hung up, and that was it, done.
But the track's called Royalty, right? And then he goes on about his second verse. He's talking about footballers' wives, slashing tyres and looking for $1. And then he's telling queens to cross their legs and get rid of the diamond chains because they enslave you. But then on other parts, he's talking about how well off he is. He's like, I'm about paper and pussy and buying the bar. Fly ass ends, you're jealous of who we are. But literally lines before that, you've talked about taking the gold chain off because it enslaves you. It's so confusing, mate. It's so confusing. He's like a Reddit thread. You can have like 100 takes on what he's talking about, and none of them are really correct because I don't think he knows what he's saying. He doesn't stick to one thing.
I think he knows, but he's just like,
I'm getting emotional, Ray.
Putting stuff, it rhymes, and 1 minute he's like pushing his chest out, and the next minute he's feeling like, oh, better be a bit of empowerment.
Don't make
empowerment for a moment.
excuses.
Yeah, take the chain off. Oh, but I can also buy you a chain, and I don't know.
I love Naz, and I love the fact that you're backing him on that one. But still, I know we both don't like that track.
Hi, this is DJ Spoonie, and you're rocking with the Crate 808 podcast. Enjoy this week's episode. Just remember to subscribe, rate, and review. Peace out, baby.
Let's move it on, mate. Who Are You? For me, one of the more interesting tracks.
Interesting? What's interesting? This is it. Naz is right. This is what we're waiting for. This is a sick beat. It's a sick rhyme rhythm. He's telling a story, and he's got that, like, you see what I mean? About when the previous one, I was like, it's not a memorable or sing-alongable, like, hook. But this one is, immediately. And it's like, you get it. So you do get it. You do get the difference.
The hook is
so
whack.
Immediately with the next tune, he's fixed that hook problem.
I can't argue with the other hook, man. The hook is whack. Whack attack. It's whack-a-day. It's Saturday morning whack-a-day. I can't do it. I can't do it, man.
I don't think you know what a good hook is.
A good hook is All I Need by Mary J. Blige on Method Man's album To Cal. That's
the fucking one of the shittest tracks on that fucking album as well.
There's a callback. That's a callback, by the way, for everyone's not heard the Crate 808 episodes. Ray had a nice take on Method Man's To Cal album. But on Who Are You, I'm loving how deep he goes. Love that shit. Not really, but it's not having a go, but it's questioning black people aspiring, maybe not aspiring, but like ascending their blackness, if you know what I mean, right? I think that kind of thing is really interesting to me, like talking about your own community and like where you think the things are going wrong in your own community, especially representation wise. Boy, I am in. But again, Naz being the man who loves to wind me up, right? Hurricane G moments on the Crate 808 podcast series are basically when someone lets you down really badly. In this, he says, I'm Idi Amin, I'm Marcus Garvey, I'm Muhammad Ali. What? You're Idi Amin? Like, you've read a book, Naz. Why the fuck are you Idi Amin? He's fucking awful. Anybody just Google Idi Amin and you'll know what I mean. Just because he was a black leader in an African country doesn't mean he didn't ostracize a whole race of people and kick them out of his country. Come on, man. Like,
whose history are you reading? Whose history are you reading?
You're right. I am British Asian.
Think of that, did you?
Yeah, they were Asians that were kicked out.
Fully indoctrinated. With the,
fully indoctrinated by the masses of people who physically left the country. So, right, either way.
Isn't Idi Amin in fucking Tupac's? Anyway, don't worry about it.
Again, another confusing person. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, yes, you can talk about Idi Amin, but in the same thing, he's talking about the ascension of blackness. You're undercutting everything I think about you, Naz. Like, I love you, bro. I love that you have an education. You try to teach people different things in your rhymes, and they're fucking brilliant. But then when you're referencing someone like that, I'm like, this is like Freddie Gibbs referencing an anti-vax lyric. Come on, bro. Like, you can do better. There's thousands of other black leaders you could have put in there, and you put in him just because it rhymes with.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess what I was getting at is, there is a school of thought that would believe that Idi Amin, what we in the West heard about him, has been manipulated by corporate media and what he, there were sanctions against him, that were inflicted upon him and his country by the Western world because they didn't want him in power. Yeah, maybe he did in power for, because he manipulated the vote, but who knows? What's your source of information? What I'm saying is not that, I'm not saying he was a hero. I'm saying we don't know either way because we're not reliably informed.
Okay, right. So that's interesting. This is going into a different political.
Brexit, thank you very much.
This is going into a rap politics fucking world, societal fucking chat. All I'm saying is Idi Amin definitely made loads of Asians leave the country because he said, if you're Asian, please leave.
It's one line on a sick tune.
It's one line on a sick tune. Okay, fair enough. Moving on, adult film.
Yeah,
all I have written here for you, mate, is what does any of this mean? And I would love you to tell me. Please tell me.
Life begins right now.
Okay.
This whole thing, it's this is what Naz is the expert of. It's also it's like real instruments as well. It's that's what it sounds. It's Swiss beats as well, isn't it?
I think Swiss is Swiss. No, he's on a hook somewhere on here and he's singing, and I was like, "Fuck me, is that Swiss beats singing?"
Is he not on the beat?
Yeah, I think it might be Swiss beats as well. Yeah, I think it is Swiss beats beat. Yeah.
I was going to say because it doesn't sound like a Swiss beats beat. His most famous tracks are very synthesized sound kind of thing. And all of a sudden, this is a very real instrument sound. Yeah. Which I'm feeling it in the same way that what I said before about what track was it? Vernon Family, which was all like very synthy, like then this. It's a beautiful track because it's not, and don't be wrong, I love my 4-bar samples that are done well. Yeah. But this is it's got depth and it's got range and it's
you talking about the beat?
There's no repeating and he just writes the beat. He just brings it all together.
What?
I like it.
Raymond Ridge? What? No, it's fucking wallpaper, man. This is you play this in a lift, motherfucker. Like this is not any of what you've just said. It's got no depth to it. Your girl in heat like cayenne sauce. That's the only thing that stuck out to me. And again, it's not saying anything differently. You don't have to say anything different. You can say the same shit you want to say, but if you paint the picture with different words, wicked. But Naz has not done anything different on this track than what he's done better back in the day. It should not even be on the Lost Tapes for me.
This is a fucking sick track.
Okay.
I'm right. You're wrong.
Okay. It feels so weird to be on the opposite side of the argument.
I'm just feeling it because the vibe of the real instruments and Naz brings it all together.
Okay, but I didn't think about the instrumentation of it. I didn't think about that. I don't know. It never really grabbed me. On all these listens, I always skip it. But then, like this album is, it's indicative of how messy this whole album is. You have that, and then right afterwards, you have War Against Love, which is like, for me, classic Naz. Deep, thoughtful moments, over an average beat, fair enough. The nice bars on like his own evolution. Yeah, I'm loving that. Like how you've become a different person. This is more insightful to me, and this is the kind of track that I can imagine not going on an album. Yeah, fair, but I'm glad it's on here, and I'm glad you released it because then I can hear a little bit of your thoughts of you growing as a man. Even though again, the beat ain't all that.
Jesus, it's trying to be too happy a tune. I don't know. It's like if someone has said, "Oh yeah, I like the vibe of all these tunes. It's very nice, but you need a happy tune. It's for a happy tune."
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with being happy?
It just seems like I don't know. Will Smith could be rapping on this.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
A PG-13 kind of just rap tune, and just like not that I need to have swearing because I'm an adult, but it's just I don't know. It's just too happy a tune. I don't think that. There was some serious fucking concepts and shit.
I don't think it's that bad. Again, maybe it's coming off a track I didn't really like adult film, so maybe that's why I liked it so much. But I don't think it's that bad. The beat is poor, average, but yeah, okay. If we're going to go in, right, the art of it, the next track.
Boom, that's it.
Pete Rock.
That's it. We've arrived. Fucking Uptown Anthem version 2. Of course, this is a fucking highlight. This is it.
Pete Rock does kill this, but the hooks are bad. He needs a hook doctor badly. He's like Eminem. You need a hook doctor, man.
No, you're wrong. This one's sick. This one sounds like where he's just being loose and he's, la la la.
Yeah, maybe.
It's not trying to, follow any rules. It's just loose and it's like, again, it's the Uptown Anthem beat, isn't it?
You have to admit though, this would sound better if there was no hook at all though. Just don't do the hook because the lyrics are unreal. Like, listen to this shit, right? Fuck maintaining, that's lame language. Dust to dust, ashes to ashes, a duck quick. Seen fire flashes, a type of fire that spit out a magnum, and I'm the type who runs a drama looking for who clapping. Mate, that's what I'm talking about, right? This bit where he describes this shit. Night boot, why I eat him, he like food, pulled out the barrel, 4/5 ripped through bone marrow, make his toes spiral the dirt whilst his feet kick up rock. He's a sprinter, police agenda, lock up ends for 3 winters. That descriptiveness of someone running, everything, the way he paints that picture, that's why I miss Naz, man. And there's one line on here. This is kind of why I'm glad he brought out Lost Tapes too, because he has gems like this. This is the best gem on the whole album for me. My larynx will serenade the hood. I'll tell the cops my blood dirty. They say I'm all good. My larynx will serenade the hood. If I was 16, 17, that lyric would be something I would like kind of write and try to manipulate and try to make as a tag. Like, yeah, man, lyrics or serenade the hood. I know it's very simple once someone said it, but no one said it like this.
Yeah, but it's a very Nas line as well, isn't it? It's just the words he puts together. No one else does it.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly, and it takes one, two.
He's getting back in my top 5 again.
Mate, this is what I'm saying. Right? When you hear this, you're like, fuck. Like, we're going to talk about this later. Like, what he needs to do to get back in the top 5. This is a conversation I was going to have after this. But let's move on to the next track. Right, highly favoured for me. What is this beat? Right, just doesn't work for me again. I know.
Jesus,
I know.
What is wrong with you? What album are you listening to? I don't understand. This is RZA production.
I know.
It's a sick beat.
I know.
It's a sick beat.
I know. I'm
it.
trying to isolate the beat itself afterwards because I was like, if MF Doom had done this, I'd have probably been all over this track. But for some reason, this beat on this album, the bars are really strong. I just don't know why this beat doesn't work for me. It feels really thin and like flimsy. I don't know. I know it's RZA. I know it's quite unique. These are the tracks that bring Nas back into the conversation. This one, it's simple and it's still somehow very RZA. It's RZA who's mastered his art and somehow less is more. It's a very stripped back kind of beat, but it's he has the one part of the sample repeats for longer than you expect it to. When the variation kicks in, which doesn't make sense when you listen to it. It's sick. It's sick anyway, and it's just and with Nas and the whole vibe, the same vibe as from The Message, and it's that the serious head nod. I keep referring to the fucking head nod, but that's my fucking life in hip hop. So it's that change the way you walk. The tune comes on, you're like, oh shit, yeah. Okay, well, this is the thing, right? Maybe it's because if I listen to this more and more, it might grow on me. It's not one that I skip because the lyrics are so fucking good. Listen to this shit, right? Again, and I'm sorry I just keep rhyming his lyrics really badly and butchering it, but just so you can get the effect I'm getting, right? This shit is deep, man. It's easy to explain anything to a real liver of life who live where you live and see shit the same. Gotta watch who you joke with or get checked. We easily mistake jokes for disrespect. Where I'm from, it's never over if somebody dies. Somebody gone ride, years later, somebody's son, 445. And I was like, that cyclical nature of drama in the inner city, like he says, it's never over when somebody dies. This shit goes on and on and on. And that's how these stories are told and retold and retold in things like fucking The Wire, in crime novels, in every fucking Scorsese film, in everything Nas has done, Prodigy's rhymes, all this stuff that you hear. And then he goes on to some really interesting stuff where he goes like, what's more dense, gold or lead? What's more expensive? Blah, 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 blah. He goes on to this kind of like talking about that.
He said, no matter what it is, rent it. Yeah, it's weird. It's like finance advice. In the middle of that from what he's learned after all these years of, he went through his flossing period, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. The OG said, no matter what it is, rent it and never buy it. It's all temporary possessions. Don't own nothing on this earth about our own soul, and that's the lesson. That deepness is quite Rakim. Like Rakim used to talk like that as well, I feel. But the whole gold versus lead thing really got me because I was like, yeah, man, that wealth versus bullets and stuff like that. Again, Nas reminds you why he's here. And I'm thankful Lost Tapes 2 came out because we wouldn't have heard this verse otherwise. So I'm in, right? Then he does Queen's Wolf. I'm intrigued to know what you think of this track, mate, right?
When Nas is on a concept, I've got to be on board. Like, I'm not...
You don't have to be on board.
It's QB werewolf stories.
I know.
He doesn't go proper deep into it.
That's what I'm saying.
Towards the end of the verse, talk about the hair coming out and the moon being out in the sky, and he's like a fucking...
Do it fully, you coward. Do it fully. Don't do it like where you're like, oh, I'm just going to add a little werewolf bit at the end. Nah. Let's do QB werewolf. It would be
too cheesy if it was just like, look, I'm jumping around.
But you did a fucking track about being a cockroach in the hood. It's not cheesy.
Listen, when I first heard it, I thought, make it stop.
right.
Because the beat it's not a standout. Once you accept the beat and then just get on board with the concept, Nas is second to none with the concept.
Two things there then. Peak cowardice from Nasir Jones because he doesn't go fully with the concept. And second, I'm with you with the beat because I don't feel it. Some of these tracks might grow on you. In today's environment, who is he reaching for? If he's reaching for the same old Nas heads, you've disappointed them. If you're reaching for newer people to listen to your music, you've disappointed them because you're basically asking them to give you multiple listens. In today's environment, what gets multiple listens? Not a lot of things. There's so much music out there. He's asking too much. And I just feel like the track that's coming up next is how I feel. It Never Ends, right? Is the next track. That's how it feels to me. This is such a long album as well. I was like, why have you put... But I love the fact that you're doubling down and you're with Nas on this, right?
Yeah, because look, no one else is doing concepts now. Eminem talks about in some of his tunes about how no one can stick to a subject, and he does. Mm-hmm. And these people are addressing it. The legends in the game are addressing it. And Nas he does stick to a subject. Look, maybe you're not on board with Queen's Wolf. I'd love to see the fucking video.
Mate, me too. I'd love for him to do it from front to back. Do the whole thing front to back, Queen's Wolf, and talk about your adventures in the hood. I'd love that. But either way, it never ends, right? Next track, Alchemist. Yeah. For me, right now, top 3 producers out there, Alchemist. He is everything he touches, I am on board with. Listen to DJ Muggs, mate, right now. DJ Muggs almost sounds like he's following Alchemist. And that's the weirdest thing, because you're like, DJ Muggs is fucking DJ Muggs. But if you listen to his collab projects, I'm not saying he's biting his style, but you can tell he's been influenced. But that's how heavy Alchemist is right now for me. But what's the point when Nas just rhymes when he's not punching the way he can punch with his bars? And that's what felt like a waste with this.
We've listened to different albums. We have.
It never ends.
You've listened to Lost Tapes 1. Is that what it is?
But it never ends.
This is a sick tune. It's sick from the outset. The beat draws you in, and Nas absolutely smashes it. The hook is sick. Like the whole beat is kind of loose with the timing and the piano keys and the bass line, and then it's kind of woven together with Nas's vocals. Nas completes it. It's the perfect track.
Maybe he's loose washed over me on this one because I was more into the beat. I did love the beat on this. I think the one line that really got me was like, "Stop waiting for the hood to appreciate you," which made me realise that you don't give a shit about what we're talking about right now on this podcast. But it's interesting when you look at like when you do think like he is knowing of that. Like he's just like, I'm doing my own shit. I might need to release this as well. But again, am I going to? Big Crit's got an album out right now. Fucking, I'm still listening to Bandana. Dreamville dropped something.
Why are you still listening to Bandana? We already covered that it's not good.
Because it's the fucking album of the decade.
It was overrated, and
no.
Look, you could listen. Why don't you just re-listen to the old podcast? Leave me here. I'll talk about Nas. You go and listen to that.
If anybody wants to raise incorrect feelings on Madlib and Freddie Gibbs' new album, our review is out there, so go check it out. But You Mean the World to Me, right? The next track. There's dips in this project generally, right? That's why some of these tracks are not hitting me, because I'm ready for another letdown, or I'm overcompensating on one track when actually it isn't that good. This one took a few listens, right? I think it's Kanye production, so I like Kanye, to be fair. And the production's not bad.
Yeah.
It probably is supposed to be on his Nazir album, which I actually like. I think I'm the only person, there's 2 people I know that actually like that Nazir album. I'm one of them. But the lyrics don't really move me on this. I can't relate to a song. It turns so sour at the end of this track, where he's talking about a woman who's still in contact with her old man, and he warns everyone that this could happen to you. And it just turns like quite sour and bitter when it doesn't start that way. Again, you're telling me things that I've heard before and not any differently.
I just disagree.
Again.
This track, it's Nas kills again. Nas on a story, and it's a simple story. Starts with him, gets with a girl who's got another guy, and then, she cheats on her man with Nas, and then later on they're together, and Nas finds out that she's still in touch with the ex. It's a simple story. So Nas tells the story perfectly. It's not overly wordy, and it rhymes. It flows well. It's got some sick rhymes in it. Oh, and it's cool how I was feeling it. I didn't check who produced it, and I was like, yes, that sounded like Kanye. And the way, because it's got this vocal that kind of slowly comes in, the volume comes up, it's like echoing,
yes.
and then it
That was nice.
Yes, that's sick as well. But anyway, the way Nas raps it, it does get bitter, but it's part of the performance. Like, you would be bitter in that situation. Like, you're with a girl that you love, and you're like, oh shit, you're still messaging him, and you're like, how the fuck has he got your new number? What's going on? And he kind of tuts in while he's rapping. He kind of tuts, and it's that kind of. It's a beautiful track.
Oh, mate,
what's wrong with you? Why can't people reach you emotionally?
They can reach me. The thing is, they can reach me emotionally. I just feel like I'm watching Casino again. So if I want to get this story, I just rewatch fucking Casino with James Woods, Sharon Stone, and Robert De Niro, and Joe Pesci on the side giving her one. It's like, come on, let's just. I'd rather just watch that, mate. Like, it's that story, but not told as well. Nas watched Casino and made this song. That's essentially what it is, with Kanye. And he was like, yeah, that's quite an interesting story with James Wood and Sharon Stone.
What you're saying to try and insult the song is that it's basically Casino in one song. What the fuck?
No, you twisted that.
You're actually saying.
You twisted that. What I'm saying is, it's a very poor version of Casino. It's a very poor version of Casino, is what I'm saying. Anyway, right, moving on. We're not going to agree about some of these. I did not think we'd be this combative over this album. I thought we'd actually agree. I know you're going to hate this one. Queensbridge Politics, right? I fucking love this track. Pete Rock, simple but effective with this beat. Nas giving this fucking insightful rap history lesson of one of the two things he knows, Queensbridge, talking on Prodigy and the book Prodigy release, which now I have to buy because I have to read hearing this. Also about missing his son. He fits a lot in. If I was 15, I would have fucking relished this whole shit. When he says, like, I don't want to tour, I want to chill with my son more, teach him about Egypt and tranquility critically, analyse black lives and respectability. Why Prodigy mural get vandalised? Why Prodigy? That project politics, obviously. So even though Prodigy is rated, even though Prodigy is revered by some people outside the Create 808 universe, you do realise that he did fuck a lot of people off. There are a lot of people who don't like him and they vandalise this mural in Queens. That's like some gully shit. The fact that also on this track he agrees that P needed vaccination for his sickle cell anemia and his illnesses. I was, oh my god, you're the opposite to Freddie Gibbs. You understand that people do need vaccination. So there was things that came out of this track where I was just like, yeah, man, like Queensbridge Politics is a banger. If this was a 7-track EP, this would be one of the best 7-track EPs, but it's not. It's a 16 fucking track album which has got so many dips and you have to dig for this fucking gold. That's my problem.
There's a lot of dips, but Queensbridge Politics was one of the highlights. It's just a perfect beat for Nas to drop knowledge on, and the way that he does, and it is a beautiful story as well. And that whole, like, it's not just the Queensbridge thing, but it's Queensbridge presence in hip hop and like all music.
But that's how I want to teach my kid as well. Like when you hear that, you take stuff away from art, right? You go to the National Gallery, you see a piece of art, you take something away and try to translate it into your own life, right? I've listened to Brother Ali. One of the best father-son joints I've ever heard is Brother Ali's Fahim, and he talks about his kid. So if you've not heard that, please go listen to it. He talks about how he feels about having his child, and when Nas brings that out and he's like saying, I want him to analyse lives and respectability. I was like, yeah, I want my kid to think critically about things and not just take everything for what they are. And maybe it's just aspirations of a dad, but that shit really hit me, man. I really love that. But we end on Beautiful Life. No ID beat. So I'm like, okay, let's go. No ID. Like that. What's the hook again? What is this hook about? Why? Awful hook. Right? I can't do this anymore with you guys.
Beautiful Life is a beautiful track. It's cheesy. It is.
Yes.
But it's not supposed to be a standalone tune. It's I've not sat and chatted to Nas about his ideas about the order of the tracks, but it's clearly it's a bookend to the album, and it's an end track. And in terms of the subject matter, he talks about the situation with his ex, and access, going through the course to see his kids, etc., etc. And it's a good. It kind of summarizes where his life's at now, kind of thing. And I think it's you're not going to put it on a playlist and listen to it at a party. It's not.
That's what I'm saying, right?
It fits within the context of the album. It's a great track, and and musically as well. Just again, it's similar to what I said before about the other kind of instrumental track. This one is like it's got a range of instruments and a range of it just works well.
This is the thing I'm saying, right, about this track. It's cheesy, it's moany, really moaning a lot. But his second verse about him deserving more money and stuff like that, it's almost like goes against what he's always talked about, which is like, I'm here for the art and blah blah. I think he's quite a confused individual because he isn't just here for the art. If he was here for the art, he'd have just done Illmatics all his life. He's done It Was Written, he then went Bling Bling, he did all that mafioso stuff, which is fine. I'm not against that. But then don't moan you want more money. He's living that beautiful life, right? His beautiful life, by the way, is great because he stays in some cars and in some pussy. Very simple needs. That's all you need. I love that, right?
It's such a good. I wrote that line down as well.
It's just like, what more do you need?
Cars and staying in some pussy is a beautiful life.
That's it.
But that's also
the weird thing
relatable.
Is the weird thing is
simple aims. Isn't
yeah,
it?
the weird thing is I listened to him on the Drink Champs podcast with Noriega, and he only just got his driving license a few years ago. So he must be fucking loving being in cars right now. He's like, yeah, man. Like when I had my Peugeot 206, he's probably got a fucking Bentley, and he's like, I could drive this motherfucker right now, legally anyway. But saying that, his last verse on here is really strong, like really, really strong. And that's again, he's digging for this gold in this album where you're like, I didn't know I had to work this hard to get here. But he says, I done seen insanity close up, schizophrenia shows up in most of us. My younger brother knows this, not jungle. Got another brother in PA, spazzed on him, hurt me to put hands on him till this day. Whoa. I was like, fuck, like that is deep. Talk about schizophrenia, talking about how it affects a lot of your community, talking about your brother, how you fucking spazzed on him and put hands on him. And you're like, shit, like that. That's some deep autobiographical shit.
It's honest as well. It comes across like just honest and laying it all out.
Exactly. Yeah. But if we're talking about conclusions,
I'm on board.
But if we're talking about conclusion to this album, right? I'm going to do a quick 30-second conclusion because that's how we roll. So this is my conclusion to Lost Tapes 2. Nas, I love you, mate, but you need to take more time on your messaging and coherence in an album. You say you got Lost Tapes 3 and 4 ready to go out there. Has this record done enough for me to listen to them? Yes, if they're not 16 tracks long, please make them shorter. I would also say that, do any of these beats improve my thinking of you? No, please do more. Please do more work with people like Pete Rock or Premier and Alchemist and do that shit. And like, your new fans will come to you if you do that. Otherwise, it's over. Otherwise, I still love you, mate. Either way, Ray, I want you to do 30 seconds. Have you got 30 seconds ready?
Yeah, why not?
Hold on. Ready, steady, go.
It's a great album, actually. It takes you on a journey. There's highs, lows, a range of producers, but somehow it still has a cohesive character about it. I think it's because of the outro and intro tracks, maybe, but look, I know this is a collection of rejected tunes from other albums, which is crazy because there are some killer tracks on it. But if Nas can put together not one, but a series of albums made up of reject tunes, and it's this good, then maybe he is the greatest rapper of all time.
That take was absolute Fahrenheit right at the end there, mate. I'm not going to lie. That is a fire take. But, I mean, I'm giving you some of that. I'm not giving you all of that. Can you just tell me then, Lost Tapes 3 and 4 are supposed to be out there. Do you want them?
Yes, that's 100%. And the thing is with it, the whole reason this podcast exists is because of, all of our love of 90s. So if anyone from that era is still doing it anywhere near, like there was tastes of it, not all of this. There was a lot of dog shit on this album. But the tracks that were beautiful were straight out of the, that's the same school. And it was the Pete Rock tracks. It was the RZA track. There was, the vibe of it. I mean, there were some tracks that were kind of more modern music kind of thing that were still good.
I think he's done enough for me as well. I think he's got a gem in him. I think he's got another gem of a record in him. But it's just about whether it all comes together for him or not. You talked about 90s. Clearly, this is a 90s rap podcast. So we have a few little things before we do finish up this review. I want to ask you, this is Nas's project right now. If you could bring someone from the 90s to jump on this album with him, who would it be?
AZ.
Oh, absolutely killed it. Yeah, for the first time on this review, you're 100% correct, Ray. I would say for me, listening to the subject matter and someone who can maybe rein him in, Rakim. I think Rakim on this would have been amazing, just because even ethos-wise, Rakim ain't going to sit there and be like, yeah, let's talk about flossing. He would be like, no, come on, Nas, let's talk about Idi Amin for 30 minutes. So
it's not kind of really
if the Source had this reviewed back in the day, the Source for me would have given this 4 out of 5 mics, because this is the kind of Source album that Source loves. It's got everything that they would love. Not for me, but they would have given it 4.
Yeah, and they would have loved the shit tracks as well for just the wrong reason.
For the wrong reasons. Absolutely.
We lived through that.
Exactly.
We were misled by that.
We were misled by that so badly. Hurricane G moments, mine's Idi Amin, classic, and the handbrake turn, although it's very entertaining in that first verse, was great. What about you, mate? What was your Hurricane G moments?
Is that, how do you say it, the Jero of rap? The
Scat Attack. Yeah.
So it seems like almost the automatic one, but I just... Do
you think that would be the one that ages the worst? Because I feel like that might be the one that ages the worst for me.
No, it aged the worst with Vernon Family, because it's just that awful synth sound. I think
that Scat Attack might become quite novelty later, but either way, there we go.
But Age the Best, I would say. Have you got Age the Best?
Yeah. What's Age the Best for you? Go on.
Oh, so Highly Favoured, Queensbridge Politics. They're both instant, timeless classic hip-hop.
What?
They're
not classics.
Yeah,
they're not classic tracks, Ray. I'm reining you in. They're classical sounding.
They can't be classic yet. They've only just come out. But they're timeless classic sound. If someone told you, this is one of those, those singles he released between albums in the late 90s, you'd be like, oh shit, that's actually pretty good.
That's interesting, because my Age the Best was just the complex rhyming. Like, if he's bringing rhymes like that, fair play, wicked. If you're talking about classic tracks, Ray here likes to imagine in his little imaginary world that an alien is going to visit us one day, and it is going to drop down and say, what is hip-hop? And we're going to give it a 100-track playlist and say, this is hip-hop. Is there anything off of Lost Tapes Volume 2 that you would put on that alien playlist? And remember, it's okay to say no, Ray. Sometimes I feel like you just go for it.
Like, basically all of Illmatic's on there, so you can't just have it all Nas, you need room for other people. So
okay. And the best track on here is Bad Energy, and it kicks it off, and that's it. That's for me is like the thing. But it's not a classic, but it's a fucking great track. So yeah, generally, I think we've kind of covered Lost Tapes 2 fairly. We're Nas heads. I'm ready for his next project. I genuinely am ready for that next project. I hope all you guys out there listening enjoyed this review. Please get back to us if you want to disagree with us, which I'm sure you probably do. If you've re-listened to the album, you have any comments, please hit us up, contact us. We're at Crate808 on Twitter. If you want to go on Instagram at Crate_808, or email us at crate808@gmail.com, or you can see our website, crate808.com. Either way, just hit us up. Tell us what you're thinking about the review, what you think about. You know what? I wouldn't mind hearing people's least hip hop things they've done. That's one thing I was thinking. I would like to hear other people's least hip hop things, because I'm sure they're better than me getting nutmegged by Dandelion. But I would like to hear that. If you really feel that way inclined and you want to get some merch, and we've been having people out there saying, when's the merch coming? When's the merch coming? Well, you can win some merch if you leave us a review on iTunes in the form of a rap. A few people have already done that if you haven't heard this podcast before, and they've got some free t-shirts out of it. Give us a 5-star rating, please. I would love that. It bumps us up. And shout out to my main man Ray Ridge, coming out all the way from Australia to talk Nas. Big up yourself, Ray.
Boom.
Shout out all the Crate 808 crew. Shout out Grindhouse Music for doing the music on here. Shout out Nick Akerman for giving me loads of good ideas. Eric Drobny for telling me that the Idi Amin line wasn't right. Shout out everyone out there who is loving the pod. There are some big things coming, people. We've got more debates. We've got more guests. And yeah, man, we've got more of us just chatting shit. So peace out from me. Boom. Ray, see you all later.
And peace out from me. See you later.